Hey everybody, this is Dan with The Wealth Instinct. I wanted to share my blog post on want to make more money? It's always in the last place you look. Before we get started, if you could do me a favor and subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon so you get notifications. So something I think about a lot is putting the puzzle together. How is it that people end up making money the way they do, right? Like, why do some people become lawyers? Why do some people become doctors? Why are some people entrepreneurs? Why do people work in construction? Why do they work in an office? Like, how did you end up with the job you have? And I think it's really interesting. Like I think back on my life, and like my very first job was um, I was working for my neighbor, and he paid me like less than minimum wage, and would just like dig holes for him and move things around. And then I worked at my church and made I think minimum wage, counting um, their collection money and help preparing their bank deposits. And then I had a job at the YMCA teaching swimming lessons and and then ended up getting a job, going to school and getting a real job, and then I think we all go through this process where we, maybe you start off as a babysitter or you start off doing work mowing lawns, and then you graduate to, fast food or retail, and then maybe you get an office job, or maybe you get a job in construction. And at some point, you stop looking for new jobs, right? You stop looking for new ways to make money. You think, well, I make enough. These people aren't horrible. I kind of like working with some of them. I think the secret is don't stop looking, right? Like, so this story is kind of funny. I think when I was a kid, I remember one time couldn't find something, and my dad was watching me, like look all over the house trying to find this. I don't remember what it was. And he says, "Well, you know where you're going to find it." I said, "Where? Where is it?" He says, "Well, it's always in the last place you look." And I was completely gullible, and I thought the last place I look, like where is the last place I would look? And I'd kept looking in like the same three places for this thing I had lost. And so I just kept thinking, well, where haven't I looked? And once I started going slower and thinking about like, okay, where haven't I looked? I ended up finding it. And then, years later, I told my brother when he lost something, um, well, you know where you're going to find it. And my thought was, I'm going to help this guy out. I'm going to give him a clue. And I told him it's always in the last place you look. And he got so mad at me. And he said, of course it's in the last place you look, because when you find it, you stop looking. And like, I was like, oh, like that's what that means? Like, I had no idea. Like, I was just taking it to mean keep looking, but really it was just kind of a joke of we stop looking for things, right? Like, so that's what happens is like you get a job where you're making enough money and you don't hate it, and you think, well, I guess I'm meant to be, an office manager, or I'm meant to be a contractor, or I'm meant to do whatever I ended up doing. Um, but if you really just keep looking, you're going to find new ways to make money. And so that's kind of what this article is all about. And um, it's interesting because I just think about my life and my like careers, I guess I've had, from gosh, I spent, all through college, I was basically taught swimming lessons and did some lifeguarding and always loved teaching. And then ended up getting a real job, right? And working in mechanical engineering and corporate life. And then started a business and worked as a coach and nutrition coach, and then ended up being a manager, managing my own employees, and then doing some more private coaching and now doing internet marketing and online business. And I think we all have so much potential, right? Like we all have, if you were born 1,000 years ago, you would have found a career, but it would have been doing something very different, right? And if you were to live 1,000 years from now, they're going to probably have ways of earning money that are completely different from what we do now, right? But you are resourceful, right? And as long as you tap into your own resources, your own creativity, and you explore, you can find new and better ways. But you just got to keep looking, right? And it takes you have to live kind of courageously, right? Because I know for me, like I felt, and I don't know if it's different for men and women, but like feel so much pressure to be able to provide, and I stayed in a job I didn't like for a long time because it paid well, and I hated it, but it paid well. So I thought, well, I need stability. I need to be reliable. I need to be a good provider. Um, and I couldn't leave. I was terrified. It took getting laid off for me to leave that job, and that was the most liberating experience of my life. I finally felt free, and then I started really this growth journey of of learning and exploring and trying different things. And it's interesting. I think we have this fear of starting over, like, oh, I can't start over. Like I've created, I've become the assistant to the regional manager, and I've climbed the ladder, and I can't start from scratch. But life is a series of starting over, and it's about reinventing yourself. Like that's the only way to grow, to constantly reinvent yourself, to constantly learn new skills and challenge yourself, and be able to adapt. So if you're looking um, to grow and change, and I think what's interesting too is like things are changing so fast now. I mean, it's just crazy, the pace of things changing. And it's interesting. I look at like my dad and my uncle. Like my uncle, we were at a family event years ago, and my dad has never. I don't think he's ever used a computer. Like I'm pretty sure he hasn't. My mom has, and she still struggles. And I've kind of had to be her computer teacher, which is a growth experience for me. But yeah, my dad's used a cell phone, but it was a flip phone, and we're at this event, and my uncle's 2 years younger than him, and my uncle whips out his iPhone, and he's all plugged into technology, and it's amazing, like how they're just 2 years apart, and one is so connected with technology. And of course, um, there's a downside of being connected with technology too, right? Like, but the fact is that you've got to keep up a little bit. And as I've gotten older, I've kind of resisted keeping up with technology too. But the fact is that things are changing quickly, and there's certain things that never change. And I think when you work on mastering those things that never change, like relationships, like connecting with people, like having integrity and personal accountability, like some of those things are timeless, and like those are never going to go away. But there's other tools and resources and ways of connecting where I think we need to be a little more flexible and um and learn a little bit more. And so I think it's important to be open. It's important to kind of have your eyes open and see and look around and talk to people. And I know when I was an engineer, everyone I knew was an engineer, and it was everyone they knew was an engineer. And when I was a business owner, when I became a business owner, it was like suddenly I knew people from all walks of life. I knew people of all ages, people that were stay-at-home moms, people that were working from home in their businesses, people that own their own businesses, people that worked for different companies, and just being exposed to people that have such diverse ways of earning a living was kind of like it's eye-opening. It's really fascinating to meet people who have such diverse income streams, and just to be curious about it and learn. And because the truth is there's like a lot of mediocre ways to make money, and there's a few like really really good ways to make money. And so you want to get around people like you have the capability to earn a lot more than you do. It's just maybe you haven't been exposed to some of those options, and maybe you haven't explored them, or maybe you haven't been open to them. And um and I think once you get around people that are successful in ways that are above average, you start to it starts to shift your perspective a little bit and change what you believe is possible, and also change your just your overall beliefs. Like I grew up with a lot of negative beliefs around wealth and wealthy people, and thinking that they were somehow bad people. And that's how the mindset I was brought up with. And really most self-made wealthy people didn't, these are self-made. They didn't inherit it. They worked their butts off, and they were committed and passionate and dedicated, and they sacrificed um, a lot to have what they do. And a lot of them, do a lot of good with what they've created. So just, I think it's important to find mentors, find people that you admire. Like, and I started off just learning about people, just like watching interviews and just discovering people that I'd never ever heard of, who were just normal, nice, everyday people who I could relate to, who shared their story and what their life's about. And it's like, wow, like, and that's one of the reasons I think it's good to read, it's good to read autobiographies, but the truth is that most of the people you've heard of, um, their stories are just a small percentage of the success stories out there. There's a lot of people that you've never heard of, and because they're not as public. And that's where, when you can get in like a mastermind group, or you can get into new circles of people, you can get exposed to people that are doing something that's achievable, maybe more achievable for you, or it feels more achievable at least. And that's something that's being part of Entre and Jeff Lerner's group has helped me with a lot. So I really suggest checking it out. A lot of good resources, a lot of good training. It can kind of, I feel like it kind of got me caught up to technology where I felt behind a little bit before, and because they've been working in that space for so long, and internet marketing and platforms and social media, they kind of know where things are now, and so they can catch you up, and then they continually are updating their content and staying current. So check it out. Keep looking. Don't stop looking. Always be looking. Always be trying to grow. Always be trying to evolve. Even as a business owner, one of your jobs is to figure out the few things that only you can do as the owner, and the things that are the most critical for you to do. And everything else you should be growing and delegating to other people. Because if people work for you, they want a growth path, right? So they need more responsibility, they need growth. And so as a business owner, you start off sweeping the floors and taking out the trash, but as you focus on your marketing and sales, you're able to hire people to do that, and as you grow, maybe eventually you have a sales team, and as you're able to keep growing, you keep giving away the jobs that you don't need to be doing that other people can do, and that frees up your time to grow more and do more. And it's a constant process. Don't let yourself get stuck and be defined by how you earn money now. um, Look for ways to grow. Just be open to it. And as soon as you're open to it, you'll start to see more opportunities, and you'll start to believe more about what's possible for you. So check it out. I'm really excited for you, and let me know what you think. Thanks for watching and listening, and we'll talk soon.